Hey everyone, hope you are doing well. Welcome to a new video. When most people think about Active Directory enumeration, they immediately think about LDAP, BloodHound, Kerberos, or SMB. But Windows exposes another extremely useful information in the form of RPC. Using RPC, we may be able to enumerate domain users, groups, SIDs, password policy information, server details, and even network shares. And depending on the environment, some of this information may even be accessible without valid domain credentials. In this video, I will show you how RPC enumeration works, how you use the RPC client, what information can be retrieved from Active Directory, and how a pen tester can use this information during internal security assessment. For the practical demonstration, I'll be using an intentionally vulnerable Active Directory lab. Before going for practical demonstration, let's understand what is RPC. RPC stands for Remote Procedure Call. Windows uses RPC extensively to allow different services and computers to communicate. Instead of thinking about RPC as a single service, let's think of it as a communication framework. Different Windows interfaces use RPC underneath. From an Active Directory pen testing perspective, three interfaces are particularly interesting. First is SAMR, which can expose users and groups. Second is LSARPC, which can provide information such as SIDs and domain security information. And third is SRVSVC, which can provide server and information. In every pen test exercise, port scanning is very important process. To save some time, I've already done and skipped the port scanning part. Here we can see there is an nmap scan output here. The first thing we'll do here is to check if Windows RPC and SMB ports are accessible. Port 135 is RPC endpoint mapper. Port 445 is SMB, and many RPC interfaces can also communicate through the named pipes over SMB. So if you see, ports such as 135 and 445 are open in Windows Server and Domain Controller. RPC enumeration becomes one of the techniques worth testing because 135 is open here. One of the tools that can be used for RPC is RPC client. RPC client is generally pre-installed in Kali and Parrot, but or any other distribution that is meant for pen testing. But if it's not installed in your Ubuntu or Linux distribution that we are using, you can just install RPC client. So RPC client can be checked if it's installed or not by just using RPC client -help command here. As you can see, RPC client is already installed here. So RPC client is a part of Samba suite and gives us command line interface for interacting with different Windows RPC services. Normally, if we already have domain credentials, we can directly authenticate using RPC client, or in our case, if we don't have credentials, we can try to do and check if anonymous connection is also allowed. So command that we can use here is RPC client -u. If we have domain username, you can put username. Since we don't have any username, we'll just put blank here, and you can maybe use the IP that you have here, and let's see if it connects. As you can see, we got a connection via an anonymous user. Basically, without using any username, we are able to connect inside the server. This is a misconfiguration here. You can try this as one of the first step. If this doesn't work, then you can try to use a genuine domain credential here to connect via RPC. So one of the test case here while doing RPC testing is testing anonymous RPC. Our case, we have already used anonymous, basically a blank password and blank username here, and the test case already failed. We are able to get a null session RPC connection here. It's very important to understand that successfully connecting doesn't automatically mean that every enumeration command will work here. Permissions can differ between individual RPC operations. So now we'll test what the server actually exposes here. The first command that we can use here is lsaquery. Yeah, depending on the system configuration, this can reveal domain name and domain SID. So if you can see here, we can obtain domain name and domain SID here. This already gives us useful information because we are now knowing about domain informations like domain name and domain SID. The domain SID becomes particularly useful when we start dealing with user and group RIDs later. So this information provide additional information about the Windows domain that we are interacting with. Additional information about the domains can also be obtained by using queries like enumdomain. So let's try to use enumdomain here. As you can see, domain related information can be obtained. Similarly, similar information can be obtained by using querydompwinfo. So if you use querydompwinfo, now we are able to get more information, basically domain, total number of users that are present in the domain. Uh, then yeah, additional details like for example server role and things of that nature. So once domain information is obtained, the second step for us to do is to obtain domain users basically, or enumeration of domain users. That can basically be done by using command enumdomusers. And yeah, as you can see, we are able to enumerate all the users that are part of the domain. In this case, administrator, guest, KRBTGT, which is a default account that is there. Then yeah, the other user accounts that you can see here, which we are able to enumerate. Now, yeah, this is a valuable information during Active Directory assessment, because we've moved from guessing usernames to, like, obtaining potentially valid domain accounts directly from the environment. Notice that each account also has an RID that is already present in the obtained information. We'll use those RIDs later to request more information about individual accounts. Yeah, another command that I really like using during RPC enumeration is querydispinfo. So let's type querydispinfo. Sorry, I mistyped it here. So if you do querydispinfo, as you can see here, account descriptions are also now visible to us. It basically gives us, sometimes occasionally exposes operational information that administrators never intend external users to see. It can be maybe a description for service accounts. In our case, if you see here, it is also given us a password here. Sometimes passwords or some critical information like this are there in the description of the users. So things like this can be obtained by using querydispinfo command. After completing domain enumeration and user enumeration, one thing that we can go forward and try to do is to query additional information on the user, and that can be done by using query user as a command. Uh, I think I told you in the previous like couple of minutes back that we can use RIDs here. So we have identified RIDs here that can be made a use here. So query user followed by the RID of that user can be used to make a query and get additional information about the user. In our case, we will be using John's detail here. So John's RID, we put it here. Yeah, we got additional information about John. So as you can see here, now we are able to see his full username, that is John Smolder, the log on time, log off time, when was the password reset last, right? And yeah, group RIDs, bad password count, and so on. Yeah, so we'll get additional details about the user by querying the user individually using their RIDs as well. Once the domain user enumeration is completed, next in the step is enumerating domain groups. Users tell who exists. However, groups start telling who may have what kind of privileges, right? So to do that, we can use command enumdomgroup, and we should get a list of, yeah, we will get a list of domain groups that are created here. Uh, by default, there are a lot of groups that exists, like for example, domain admins or domain users. These are default groups that already exist, but the groups that should interest us more are the custom groups that gets created in some environments, like groups such as help desk password reset, or workstation administrators. These kind of groups are custom groups that gets created by domain administrators, and uh, those kind of groups can be a valuable information during our Active Directory pen testing exercise as well. In our case, we have a custom group which looks like here. If you see, there is a group called as dev support, which looks interesting. So if you want to do anything further, we can maybe query that group and check who are the members of the group, and carry on our enumeration process further. Similar to users, each groups also have their own unique RIDs. So in previously we queried users and got their additional information. Similar concept can be applied here also, and we can query groups by using their own unique RIDs. So let's try to use a command here: query group followed by RID of dev support. If you see, this is the RID. So let's copy this and let's paste and query the group. Yeah, so we got details. So as you can see, group name is dev support and group attribute is 7. Let's try to see if we can get further details by using another command, query group enum followed by RID. Okay, I think I mistyped something here. QURY. Okay, sorry, it is not group enum, it is group mem. So as we can query the group, okay, I think we don't have any users here currently. If you can see, the number of users or number of members present in dev support is mentioned 0 here. So let's try to see if we can query any other group here. Let's try to do key admins. Okay, let's try doing this. For this also the number of members are 0. So let's try to do domain administrators maybe. Yeah. So if we query domain administrators, okay, the number of members here is 1. Let's try to see who is the person or user who is part of domain administrator. And as you can see here, we got the RIDs. So by matching the RIDs, we will be able to obtain the user, which is domain administrator. So it is 1F4. So if we scroll up, there should be a user which has 1F4. So the user administrator is part of domain administrator group. So this is how we can correlate and gather information about different groups and the member of groups as well. Another important information during Active Directory pen testing is obtaining details about password policy. So password policy can be queried by using the command getdompwinfo. As you can see here, in this domain, the password length is set to 7. Yeah, so this command can help us in obtaining domain password information, and this is especially important during pen testing exercise before performing any approved or while doing red teaming. You can maybe do password auditing activity as well. So the motive of this is to understand organization's authentication policy and lockout controls as well. Blindly testing passwords without understanding like lockout settings can disrupt legitimate users as well. So password policy enumeration should become or come before any authorized credential testing or password spray attempts here, because in a large corporate setting or large environment, doing blind password spray without understanding the password length or lockout settings can result in catastrophic events as well. Lastly, I would like to cover 3 more commands. First is a command for enumerating trusts. The command is enumtrust. In large Active Directory environments, there are cases where there will be multiple domains in use. Trusts may connect multiple domains or forests even. Finding another domain doesn't mean automatically we have an access to it, but it tells us Active Directory attack surface may extend beyond system we are currently looking at. So identifying and enumerating trust becomes a very crucial thing when we are in a large Active Directory setup with multiple domains in use. So you can use enumtrust there. The second command that I would want you to try is netshareenumall. So if we have appropriate or right privileges, we should be able to also enumerate shares that are accessible to us, right? Shares such as like backup shares or scripts that are deployed, or in larger environments, sometimes development team might also share credentials or application source codes over shares as well. So it's always good that we try to enumerate shares as well that are accessible to us in an Active Directory. And finally, one another command that I would want us to use is srvinfo, which is gives us information about the server. So as you can see here, we get details about the OS version, type, and yeah, things of that nature by using srvinfo as a command. So that's a practical introduction to RPC enumeration in Active Directory. The important key takeaway is that Active Directory enumeration should never depend on just one protocol. LDAP might be restricted, SMB might expose something different, Kerberos gives us another perspective, and RPC can provide domain information through interfaces such as SAMR, LSARPC, and SRVSVC. Understanding these lower level protocols also helps you understand where tools like BloodHound, NetExec, and other AD enumeration frameworks get their information. If you found this video useful, subscribe to the channel for more practical VAPT, Active Directory and red teaming content. I'll also link the complete written RPC enumeration guide in the description below of the blog that I've written. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.